Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Death Sentence, and this movie is directed by James Wan, and it came out in 2007, starring Kevin Bacon, and I like this movie more than I thought I would, and going into it, I literally was expecting nothing, and while watching the movie, it was kind of what I expected, but done a bit better, and it was competent, and I thought Kevin Bacon was good in the movie. And I did like the action scenes. I also thought that the movie was well shot overall. There were some nice long takes in the movie. And there's a really great one in one of the chase scenes in the film. And I thought that was one of the highlights of the movie for me. And I also enjoyed the violence in the movie. And the violence doesn't really show up until the last half hour of the movie. And most of the movie is not that. And while there is violence throughout the entire film, it's mostly towards the half hour point of the movie. And that's one of the better parts of the movie for me. And I did not feel as though this movie wasted a lot of time. I was never bored, is what I meant by that. And although there are some things that have no point in the movie, really, I was never bored by them, luckily. And I also enjoyed the characters, and I thought that the emotions that I was trying to hit in the first 20 minutes worked very well, and the performances really delivered that for me. And where this movie doesn't really work too well for me are some points where it's kind of cheesy and goofy, and there are many points in the movie where that does happen, and it kind of pulls me out of it and makes me think, why are you doing this? Or how did you survive that? And it kind of becomes a little bit cartoonish and makes it a bit difficult for me to take it seriously. And there were also some performances that I found to be a bit distracting, like John Goodman in the movie. Not a bad actor at all, it's just I found him to be a bit distracting in the film. I'm not saying I didn't like his character at all. I thought he was kind of a fun character, but his performance and his presence in the movie was a bit distracting for me. And in terms of an emotional investment for this movie, it kind of loses me the longer it goes on, and it kind of stops being about a drama and more about like just turning it into an action movie. And I liked some things that it was trying to show off, and the movie did have a style to it, and one of the best ways to describe this movie for me would be it's kind of like a mix between Saw and John Wick in ways. And I don't want to say too much about the John Wick element because I don't want to spoil anything. And as far as me comparing it to Saw, the only reason I'm using that movie is because it's the same director as the original Saw, James Wan. And I did feel as though, like, some of the elements of Saw, like visually and feel or tone of that movie, got brought over into this movie. And that's not really a bad thing. It's just one thing that I did notice and kind of reminded me, yep, this is James Wan. And going back to the violence in the movie, one thing that I did appreciate about the movie was that it also had somewhat of an understanding of when not to show off violence, or if something wouldn't look super realistic, or you kind of like found a way for it to be more effective, it decided not to show it at all and just leave it up to the imagination, and it never came across as goofy, like when they cut away from it, or like, oh, I wanted to see that, but instead it just cuts away and lets you imagine what happened, and it's pretty obvious what happened, and I thought that was a clever choice to do that. And also, I did feel as though this movie was a little soundtrack heavy to the point where it was kind of distracting, and it just felt a little out of place for me. And the only other thing I have to say about this movie is that although there are some elements that are kind of cheesy and take me out of the experience, there are also many points in the film that do work intentionally and it does hit the emotions where it's trying to, especially in the first 20 minutes of the movie. In terms of me being able to take it seriously, I think that's the best part of the movie. As much as I enjoyed many other points of the film, once we get to the end of the movie where it's just this one whole big action scene, that's where it gets to be a little dull for me because I'm not really super invested in our main character. Like, I like what the movie set up and what our main character went through. It's just that I don't really have any real reasons to care about him. But aside from that, I enjoyed the movie, and I would recommend that you check this movie out. I do feel as though if you were to watch it, it'll be worth your time. It's worth at least one watch, in my opinion, and I would recommend it. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Death Sentence a 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Death Sentence and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Man on Fire. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.